Good afternoon, folks, and welcome again to another edition of Cooking with Relish. Today, folks, we have three topics. The first topic is my haircut. I got one. This should make this a little bit easier for some of you to watch. I said a little. Our second subject today will be Brussels sprouts, and our third will be leeks. We're going to do a couple preparations with Brussels sprouts and leeks that are not exactly summery dishes, but are a few of my favorites. So you can hang on to these ideas for fall coming up and later on in the year. So first let's start with the Brussels sprouts. Now, these are the hated Brussels sprouts. All children hate them. My brother-in-law calls them broccoli balls. I'm not sure why. But trimming a Brussels sprout, fairly simple. You're going to take off the core part, really tough, don't want to eat that. Peel off a couple of the outer leaves, the older drier ones, okay? And you're just going to cut it in half. Another one, same deal. As you can see, nice and clean inside, and that stem will be easy to eat. The next thing you're going to want to do, and I highly recommend this, is blanch your Brussels sprouts. So you just take these guys and you cook them in salted, pretty heavily salted, boiling water for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, pull them off, shock them with cold water. That just means run some cold water over them to stop the cooking process, strain them out, and they'll be ready to go. And when they are, they'll kind of look a little bit like this. Okay. So what we're going to do today with the Brussels sprouts is a cider glazed Brussels sprout dish. It involves what we have here: bacon, nice tender belly bacon cut into lardon, which are just thin strips, bacon bits. I have some minced shallot. You can also use red onion. Salt, of course. Honey. And this is champagne vinegar. You can use cider vinegar as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to render the bacon out. So we're going to take the bacon and we're going to put it in a pan with just a little bit of water in the bottom. And we're going to turn the heat on nice and high to start it up. And as that bacon starts to steam in that little bit of water, it's going to be real easy to break it up into individual pieces so that it cooks out for you nice and evenly. Once you get all those pieces broken up and the water cooks out, at that point you want to turn the heat down to a nice, even, low cooking temperature so that bacon is just barely sizzling along. And you're going to let this bacon render out. You want to cook it probably about 10 minutes or so, maybe not that long depending on your stove, but until it is crispy and it looks like it's bacon bits. Once you get the bacon rendered, you can see it is getting to the nice crispy point. We're going to add our other ingredients. We're going to add some shallot. And we're going to let that shallot saute in that bacon fat until it's nice and translucent. Once you can see your shallot really starting to cook, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the Brussels sprouts. Don't worry about the odd leaves that fall off on the outside when you blanch them. They'll be fine in there. And we're going to cook the Brussels sprouts for probably about 5 minutes or so. So they're really starting to soften up a little bit. So now we've got the Brussels sprouts going really well in there. Really starting to soften up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add a little bit of salt. Not much because you got the bacon in there. We're going to hit it with the cider vinegar to deglaze. And you'll get a nice acidic aroma coming off of it. Let that cider cook down for just a minute. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add just a touch of honey. maybe a tablespoon. That's going to offset against that vinegar, make a nice sour and sweet combination. And there you are, a great accompaniment to any winter meal. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is creamed leeks. This can be served as a side dish. This could also be used as a sauce. Here at Relish, we really like to use creamed leeks as an accompaniment for spice crusted pork loin. Very good stuff. So we're going to start with our leek. Here's a leek. Not most people know exactly what to do with these guys. They're not a super common vegetable, but they are delicious. So we're going to start with the leek. We're going to take the end off of it. And we're going to take off some of the green. The green is not a great edible part of the leek. It's good in some really heavy stews, Scottish food. But for what we want to do today, we're just going to use the white. So we're going to take the leek and we're going to split it in half lengthwise. Okay, and we're going to peel off a couple of the outer layers. And then we're going to rinse the leek down. I'm going to show you this. It's very important. As you can see, the leek, as far as we know, is harvested in the field, tied behind the tractor to string, and dragged through mud back to the farmhouse. So we're going to rinse these leeks off with a little bit of cold water. The leek kind of has a natural composition like an onion, where it's kind of like a deck of cards. So the easiest way to do this is just kind of unfold your leaves under cold running water as you go along and let it rinse all that dirt out. The dirt generally will only be towards the upper part of the leek. And then slicing the leek, very simple. Just lay it on that flat side, walk right down the line. Easy as that. So for the cooking process, we have butter, cream, white wine, and salt. Pretty damn easy. Not too complicated, this stuff. So we're going to take some butter, just a little bit, throw it in our pot, start it up melting. Once we've got the butter melted, we're going to add some leeks. This can be done over high heat, as long as you're attending them. Keep moving them around. Help them break up a little bit with a wooden spoon. And let those leeks saute till they're really nice and soft. Also good to add a little bit of salt at the start. Again, helps in the cooking process. All right, as you can see, folks, we've been sauteing these leeks about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes now. And they're getting nice and soft. They're really breaking down. Try to keep them from browning too much. As you can see, I got a little bit in there, but not a big deal. At this point, leeks are nice and soft. We want to hit it with just a touch of white wine. Let that white wine cook off. About another 30 seconds. And now we're going to add the heavy cream. And again, not too much. You want the leeks to be pretty dry when you're putting the cream in, so you're not fighting against any residual liquid when you're trying to get the cream to reduce. As you can see, I put just enough to cover it. now we're going to let the cream reduce and thicken for about 2 minutes, and your cream leeks will be done. You want those bubbles to start to look like clam bubbles on the beach. You know that cream is really reducing out when you can see the bottom of the pan getting nice and thick to a nice sauce consistency. And you're good to go. Creamed leeks.